Welcome to Activations with JJ. In today's episode, we have a special treat. Our topic is healing the inner star child. And I have one of my incredible lightworker friends, Jen Peters of Jen Peters Soul Guide Healer on Instagram. Many of you probably know her. She will be joining me as we discuss this topic of healing the inner child and healing the inner star child and how that ties into our upcoming workshop in New Zealand in September 2023. This is a fascinating topic and I'm excited to dive into it with you. So let's get going. Welcome, dear beautiful souls, to this container. I know it seems maybe just like it's a podcast audio recording, but for me, this is a container. This is a bubble orb of beautiful energy and love that I like to wrap you in. Every time I put out a podcast, I can feel you here. I can feel your willingness to co-create. I'm so grateful for you. For those of you who are following me, wherever you're following me, whether it's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you are, I just want to say welcome. It has been incredible to see this community grow to worldwide. I have people from all over. I'm constantly amazed at where people are finding me from and so grateful that Spirit has led you here. This is a very special topic today. We'll be discussing healing the inner star child. It's really incredible because over the last couple of weeks, and in fact, I would say probably ever since Jen and I determined the topic for our retreat in Auckland, New Zealand, that's going to occur in the middle of September 2023. Ever since then, the topic has been coming into more and more sessions. It's really confirmation from Spirit that this is something that is important for the collective to work through and to work with in order for us to move forward and to really bring down this new earth blueprint into the physical realm. The topic that I'm talking of, I did mention a little bit in the intro, is healing the inner star child. And essentially what it boils down to is the concept that those of us who are starseeds, we absolutely have to deal with our earthly experiences. Some of them might be traumatic. We deal with our earthly joys as well, not just the negative things. But in addition to that, we have other energies that are affecting us while we are here on this planet. And many of you know and understand the concept of past lives. I am so grateful for Dolores Cannon and the extensive work that she did, not only to hold the many, many sessions that she did, but also to document them. If you have not read The Convoluted Universe, let me tell you how important it is for you to read those books. There's 5 books. Read those books so you can really grasp your multidimensionality. So back to this idea of the starseed wounding, I guess you could call it. This has been coming up a little bit over the last little while. I know I've been dealing a lot with other kinds of wounding. A lot of you are familiar with the witch wound, the father wound, or the mother wound, and sometimes even the sister wound is coming up. And now I've really felt what I don't love calling it the starseed wound, but honestly what it feels like is the healing the inner star child by dealing with this sense of abandonment that so many starseeds have, including myself. Whether you're an angelic starseed, maybe you're an elemental starseed, or a galactic starseed, it really doesn't matter. So many of us feel so separated when we first come to this planet due to the veils that we agree to receive, the forgetting that occurs, and that forgetting makes us feel distance. It's all an illusion. It's all an illusion. And that's really what healing the inner star child's about. Now, my friend Jen, who you're going to hear from in just a moment, her specialty is multidimensional healing, as she is able to bring through information from all different perspectives. I am so grateful for Jen. She's also an incredible channeler. She's a starseed herself. And so she has that extra sensitivity, that that particular topic doesn't always come up in her sessions as a conscious sort of presentation, but she is able to hold space for starseeds who have come into this kind of dense world to work through these things and to learn what they came here to learn. I'm excited for you to hear this interview with myself and Jen Peters. And before we go straight into this interview, I do want to let you know I have a very special announcement. Jen and I have actually decided to offer 2 free gatherings, all surrounding this topic of healing the inner star child as we prepare for our workshop in Auckland in September. And so if you'd like to take advantage of attending those to get, again, a taste of what we will be doing at the workshop, the links to sign up are below. These are free. We are making them available to the public as we are excited for more and more people to know and understand what this is all about. So check out the links below. And without any further ado, here is a portion of my conversation with Jen all around healing the inner star child. So Jen and I have known each other for almost a year now, and we connected through the starseed pieces and the guides. And then as we worked together more and more, we just really felt like what we did would complement each other. And so in kind of imagining this co-creation that we felt drawn to do, the 2 common themes that kept coming forward over and over again were the concept of the inner child. Now, the funny thing about it is I tend to work predominantly with sort of the galactic starseed energies, helping people connect with their star families, where Jen tends to connect more with the earth traumas and the situations here tied to the family dynamics here as far as it relates to the inner child. And so what happened was we kind of said, okay, Spirit, we know this co-creation wants to happen. We want it to happen. Not only does it feel like it's aligned, but we want it to happen. What is this? What exactly are we doing? Why are we feeling called to put together what we do? And plus, what's that going to look like? So I don't know about you, Jen, but I just remember kind of this aha moment we had in a conversation. And I would love to hear your take on how that all played out and what's happened since then.
Oh, thank you so much, JJ. And yes, I remember that moment really clearly. It was just that moment of realization that this was part of our and is part of our divine plan to come together and co-create together here as we are in the higher realms. And I think the more that we started to, I guess, play in the space and see what this actually could look like, the more exciting it became. Because one of the things that's become really clear to me is that, those who are called to join us, there is already a plan in place for us to be gathering together in the physical at this time to do this sacred work, just as we are in the higher realms. So
Wow. Wow.
yeah, I
Yes.
was actually playing in this space last night and I was like, wow, it's actually really exciting.
I love that. I love that. When you talk about it that way, it feels very grounded. And speaking of being grounded, one of the things that I really love about Jen's work, and by the way, if you're not already following her, I highly recommend you do. And let me just tell you why. Jen and I have talked about this before, but there tends to be a pattern in the spiritual community where people use spirituality to a certain degree, and sometimes it's subconscious, to avoid taking care of some of their 3D life situations and relationships. And I actually see that can be sort of an obstacle to their spiritual growth, where what I've discovered is as we work on both those circumstances of our earth childhood, our earth life, as well as our soul journey and our starseed roots and all of that, as we work on them in tandem, that's when the most expansion occurs. Because otherwise, and I know you've seen this too, Jen, there's an imbalance, right? I'd love to hear what you kind of have experienced regarding that as well.
Oh, look, I couldn't agree more. Like, fantastic point to bring up. I see this a lot in the spiritual community also. And as you say, we need to clear. We are here having an earthly experience. We have contracted to experience some of the and oftentimes hardships that we have, because there is so much evolution and upgrades and wisdom to be unlocked as we heal those parts. But if we're just playing in the higher realms most of the time, it's a beautiful place to be, and I totally get it. But it means that we are neglecting the parts of us that most need to be seen and loved and healed and accepted. So when we do bring both aspects together, it is a true multi-dimensional, multi-layered healing and expansion that occurs.
Absolutely. That's one of the things. See, that's one of the things when I first met you, Jen, how I noticed that your sort of your bio and your title is multidimensional, healer. And the cool thing about it is you don't have to leave the earth plane experiences behind to fully expand into multidimensionality. Multidimensionality is very inclusive of what we do here on earth and how we interact with people here in relationships, and how we deal with traumas that occurred here, not millions of years ago in a different existence, in a different soul, although oftentimes you and I both know there are patterns. But that's the really interesting thing, is that we tend to put this multidimensional, extreme spirituality on a pedestal, and we ignore, again, sometimes subconsciously, some of our tedious, quote unquote, earth stuff and earth baggage just because we want to avoid it. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. But that's why the multidimensional approach is so important, because it basically fosters a balance. And as you were just speaking, it gave me this really interesting sort of vision of what we're going to do and how our workshop is going to feel so balanced to everyone who attends, whether you come in person or virtually. And that's something that's really exciting to me, because this is something I have not done before. I would love for you to share what you're feeling with regards to that balanced energy that's going to come in the workshop.
Oh, thanks so much for that, JJ. And I agree. That's what I was really amped about last night when I was connecting in. Really, for us to be able to experience our fullest and highest potential, we need to be doing the more earthly work also. And so when it comes to the actual event, we're going to be starting off with clearing more of the earthly trauma. And I think especially, certainly not only for starseeds, but especially for us as starseeds, we've come into this incarnation, and we've collected a lot of trauma along the way. A lot of trauma. Many of us have actually intentionally, believe it or not, incarnated into families that have got a lot of ancestral trauma, and we're there actually trying to process this for our ancestors and our family and our lines. So to be able to clear that and remove those blockages and the debris that is preventing you from moving forward, and perhaps anchoring more deeply into your more starseed mission here, I think is incredible. And JJ, we've spoken about it. She's going to do some incredible work, with the galactic side, especially with the star mothers. It's going to be beautiful, really beautiful.
Oh my goodness, yes. My little heart is jumping up and down right now. I have not shared this with you, Jen, but just last weekend, I did an in-person event in California, And it was a cacao ceremony and a solstice activation with the goddesses. And do you know what we ended up doing?
Mm-hmm.
We ended up clearing ancestral trauma.
Of course.
And it's exactly, and you know what's funny? I think my guides are having me lean in a little bit more towards what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, just based on some conversations we have, that you're dabbling a little bit more in what I do, because in the end, what we do together is just going to be woven so tightly and so beautifully
Mm-hmm.
and harmoniously when we actually, come in person in September in New Zealand. And I can feel that. It's so fun that you just said that. It resonated so, so deeply.
Oh my goodness. I'm so excited as well when I hear you speak of that. I can just see it. I keep on seeing almost like a cylinder, and it just goes on and on and on, and we're starting at one end and we're moving all the way through, and there's just so much to explore and unlock and unleash within ourselves and each other. And I do think also that I really do believe that all of those who are called to join us together, our frequencies are extremely unique, and there's going to be particular upgrades that can only be unlocked when we come together in this container. So I know that we're going to walk in feeling one way, and we're going to walk out really a much higher, more expansive version of ourselves. It's going to be really beautiful.
That makes total sense. 100%. And you know what I'm hearing right now is quantum healing. And that is something I'm leaning into over this next little while. Our workshop is basically like an afternoon and then the next day. It's about a day and a half worth of information and activation and all of the things. But I'm not kidding you. My guides have told me the amount they can do in a day and a half now is completely different than even just a few years ago. We have the power, like you said, to unlock a lot more rapid healing. And I know that's absolutely what you do in your work. Your work is magic. And I love your emphasis on self-healing and everything that you do. It's so fascinating because even as we're talking right now, my guides are like, see, JJ, you don't understand, but now we're showing you that one of the reasons why this co-creation, this workshop is going to be so magical is that Jen and I have put in the time to connect with each other on a soul-to-soul basis frequently over this last several months. And so we've been calibrating unknowingly, I will tell you. We did not know that this was going to expand to a workshop unknowingly. But the way that we just go back and forth in our sessions and the way that spirit drops in, I can just see, Jen, how that's what the workshop will be. Just like you said, it's almost just this harmonious weaving in and out, and each of us will step in and then the other one will step in, and then it'll just be this flow. Are you feeling that too?
100%. I can see it. I can feel it. It's palpable.
And it's so crazy because I don't know how many of you have heard me say this. So I'm going to be in Auckland to do this Healing the Inner Star Child retreat with Jen. But Jen also knows that one of my passions is Lemurian energy in Lemuria. And as many of you know, my retreat and conference in Hawaii is actually right before the New Zealand workshop. And so I call it my world tour, even though it's just two places. But for me, it's like a world tour. But I'll be going from Hawaii to New Zealand. And I know that I'm going to be carrying some of those Lemurian frequencies. So not only will we be working with these beautiful souls in this workshop, but this Lemurian energy, this flow and this grace and this harmonious energy of healing, especially as it relates to the water. I just keep getting these images of aqua blue and water. And if for those of you who don't know Jen very well, go look at her website, because the colors on her website are my favorite colors too, and they remind me of Lemuria. They remind me of the beautiful aquamarine colors of Lemuria and that healing vibration and that healing frequency that's coming through. I know that I'll be carrying some of that in. I don't know exactly what it will look like, probably connected to the Star Mothers, because we know and oftentimes talk about the way that the Star Mothers were so present during the times of Lemuria. But I just had to kind of drop in with that because as we were talking about our quote unquote flow, the idea of the water and Lemurian waters just dropped in. And so I thought it would be fun to kind of share that insight.
I'm really glad that you did, JJ, because I actually really feel that that's a really important piece to this, and I absolutely agree that you're going to be bringing those beautiful, beautiful activated codes here. And of course, as most of you probably know already, New Zealand was once Lemuria, part of Lemuria as well, and there are some incredibly potent, places around New Zealand, particularly relating to Lemuria. So it's just perfect, and it's just so exciting to imagine how that's actually going to unfold. I know we've got a little bit of good work planned, haven't we, for our Monday evening?
We do,
Mm-hmm.
we do. It's so fascinating how this entire workshop in this event has developed over time and how we came across the Life Center in Auckland, this venue that has this garden with these huge, beautiful crystals. And I know Jen and I are both feeling that those who come together at this gathering, it's kind of this twofold thing because we're coming together to co-create so we can facilitate our own healing. But also there's something about it, like you said, where there's an activation going
Mm-hmm.
on many different levels. And again, this venue feels key for that. It's just a beautiful place where we're going to be with these giant crystals. And, as we drop in and kind of lean into what's going to come through and feel into spirit and what wants to come forward and what guides are going to come forward, I'm just reminded of how a lot of times when you and I work together, the fairies
Oh,
pop in,
yes.
and so I just want to tell everybody who's planning on coming to the
Mm-hmm.
event, whether it's in person or virtually, I'm guaranteeing you that there will be fairies in around the venue too. And that's always a fun thing.
I see them now. I actually see them now dancing around in a circle as you're saying that. Yes, yes,
Well,
yes. I completely
can't
agree.
they can't not be there with the inner child work, and you know that. I mean,
Mm,
they're the
mm,
number one go-to source to pull forward our inner child and the joyous
mhm,
inner child, right? Because you've got all different kinds of inner child. So not only are we working with the traumas of an inner child, whether that's your inner earth child, your inner star child, you're also working with that joyous, expanded, curious, just exuberant inner child. There's, again, this is the balance piece. We're balancing between the two and we're really trying to facilitate the rebirth of that part of you that wants to come forward
mm.
as we experience the new earth.
Yes, yes, yes. That feels so good. That feels so good. And I think at the same time, what's so incredibly magical about this event and this coming together and our gathering is that whilst we've got the fairies on one side, we're also going to have the galactics on the other. We're going to be connecting with our star families. It's just going to be an incredible magical journey.
I just love how those little chimes come in right at the end when Jen is saying magical journey to just confirm it's definitely going to be a magical journey. Well, here we are. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. It was so fun to be able to take some time and just really verbalize and bring into like the physical realm all of this stuff that's been swimming around that we've kind of been planning and come and present this to you so that you can get a feel for what this conference is going to be like. One of the best things about the conference is that not only can you attend in person, but you can also attend virtually, like we said. So the tickets are going to be through the link below, whether in person or virtually, all the information you would need to know. I am excited, so excited. Like, it's an understatement to say I'm excited to be able to meet so many of my New Zealand and Australia soul fam because it's not that far away from you, comparatively speaking, as it is to get to the United States or, some of the other places where I'm at. But it's literally going to be so special. And not only is it about Jen and I bringing what we have, It's really about each of you who feel the call to join us, to come forward and to show up there as well, whether virtually or in person, because your energy does affect the energy of the container. Your gifts will come to the table, whether consciously or subconsciously. Your frequency will help us bring through the healing that so many people are looking for. Again, this is just a beautiful topic, and I hope that it gives you some things to think about, maybe some things to intention as you move forward. I know that one of the themes for July 2023 was really tuning into our star families, and with that comes a little bit of this, why'd you leave me here? What's going on? Just kind of awakening some of that emotion that came forward when you first incarnated here. And we're all in this together. We're all a team that is collectively ascending. We're all here to help each other. I'm here to do whatever I can to help you, and I know so many of you are helping lots of people as well, and I'm so grateful for you. Also, just extremely thankful for Jen, her willingness to be here on the podcast. If you are not already following her, check out the link below. You can find out more, and you can see where her Instagram handle is. As a reminder, and as you heard me mention at the beginning of the episode, we will also be holding 2 free calls. So if you would like to join us for those, the links to sign up are below. We will be touching on some of the topics we'll cover at our workshop in Auckland, which we have virtual and in-person tickets for. You can find out, again, all the links, all the details, everything is down below in the notes to this podcast episode. I want to finish up by reminding you of a couple other events I have coming up. I do have some in-person events. Yay! I love co-creating with you in person. Some of these events are going to take place on the Pacific Coast and some on the Atlantic Coast. So we've got the West and the East vibes going on. So at the very end of July, I will be holding events in Los Angeles. I'll be doing some one-on-one sessions there, as well as in San Diego for my San Diego friends. I'm going to hop down there and say hi to you. And then I'm going to go clear across the country to my favorite place over there by New York City, just a little ways away in Ridgefield, Connecticut. We have the Shungite Room at the Angel Co-op. I'll be doing a dragon workshop. Yes, my very first dragon workshop, as well as an Lionsgate portal workshop and one-on-one sessions in the Shungite Room on 8/8. They're going to be incredible. So if you're interested in connecting with me in person, you can find out more below. As always, I usually have my regular gatherings. You can check out all the information about those weekend gatherings. I have those virtual, different topics, different themes, always coming through. No matter when you're listening to this, there's probably something going on because that's what I love to do. I also really appreciate all of you here. I just want to let you know that your support and your love is truly felt. If you feel drawn to leave a like or a subscribe, it will assist me in getting this message out to more people. Even share this podcast with a friend. And finally, I just want to remind you I'm sending you so much love, and that I am you and you are me, and we are we. Until next time.